All right, everybody, welcome. Welcome to everyone live and everyone watching the recording. I'm just going to jump right in here. My name is Marisa Nelson. I'm a wills, trust, and probate lawyer in California. And today I'm going to be talking about protecting the rights of LGBTQ people and families with estate planning. So, of course, we're all aware, recently there have been a lot of attacks on the rights of LGBTQ people in this country, and estate planning may not immediately come to mind as something that needs to be prioritized with all of that going on and everything else that we are dealing with, but here's why it should be prioritized. So estate planning, meaning wills, trusts, healthcare directives, powers of attorney, and guardian nominations, is an important way to exercise our rights, make critical choices in a legally powerful format. Estate planning is how we make sure the people that are important to us are recognized, how we give them legal authority to act for us, to benefit, to be involved, to inherit our assets, and how we legally choose who should take care of our kids, our pets, and anyone else dependent on us. Um, so this is important for all of us, but especially important when our relationships and our rights are not being consistently recognized and respected by the government. This is something that we can do to help make that more likely. Um, so real quick before I dive in, um, guardian nominations. They are how you appoint the person that you choose to take care of your kids if they are under 18 and you can't be there for any reason. Trusts are how you direct who manages your money if you're incapacitated, if you're out of the country, if you're detained. Um, and Trusts are also how you direct who inherits your assets, and they are private legal documents. And of course, privacy is going to be a big focus with all of this. Um, Healthcare directives are how you appoint the person that you want to be able to visit you in the hospital if you're sick, to make medical decisions for you if you cannot do it yourself, and make other critical healthcare decisions. So, these documents are an important way for all of us to make our choices known and enforceable, but they're even more critical right now if your relationship with your spouse, your partner, your kids, your loved ones is being threatened. So let me just pause for a moment and get this disclaimer out of the way as required. This, of course, is not legal advice. It is general legal information. I am a lawyer, but just by watching this does not make me your lawyer. I am licensed in California only, and the laws do vary from state to state and certainly other countries. My practice focuses on wills, trusts, and probate, and it has for almost 15 years now. So that impacts my perspective. That's where I'm coming from. This is not an exhaustive summary of all the things that we can be doing right now. This is one set of things that we can do. So, um, within this conversation, I'm going to be talking a lot about different estate planning documents. Like I said, wills, trusts, healthcare directives, powers of attorney, guardian nominations. Um, Today, I'm not going to focus a lot on what those are, how they work, the specifics of each document. I do have other videos and blog posts available on those topics that go more into what each of those documents is and how it works. So feel free to take a look at those if you want more information there. So, like I said, these are the same documents that we all need. The details for each should vary depending on our circumstances, needs, and goals. Uh, what assets do we have? What are they worth? Where do we live? Um, who are the important people in our lives? What are our priorities and goals right now? Um, so, same documents generally for all of us, different details. It's best if they're customized. And again, all of these are extra important for anyone whose relationships may not be honored by our legal system, especially right now, whether it's a spouse or partner, kids, etc. Estate planning is important for anyone who wants their wishes respected, their privacy protected, and the people they love protected and legally empowered when it matters most in an emergency situation. Um, Estate planning is one way that we can make our voices heard during incapacity, after death, if we're out of the country. It is one way to put your choices in a legally binding format so that your choices are what are followed and not the states, the governments, the courts. Um, so these are going to answer questions like who would raise your kids if you cannot do it for some reason? Who inherits your assets? Who manages your assets if you can't do it yourself? Um, what does how does the management of that inheritance go? Are there any restrictions, any priorities? If you want to leave money to your kids and decide at what age they can manage it themselves, and up to that point, we're going to focus on healthcare, education, living expenses, things like that. With a trust, we can do that. Um, who makes sure your bills are paid and who can access your accounts? That's another thing covered here. So let's dive into each one of these a little bit more. So first off, super important, guardian nominations. A guardian nomination is a short legal document, and it's how we appoint the person we choose to take care of our kids if they're under 18, at any time that you cannot be there yourself. Of course, we hope that never happens, but it's one of those things we got to do in advance just in case. So a guardian, similar to a parent legally, is who takes care of a child's food, housing, education, all of the personal care decisions that a parent makes day to day. A guardian is empowered to make those decisions, and take care of those things. We also have guardians of the estate who manage a child's inheritance. A better way to do this is with a trust, which we'll talk about more in a minute, but that's another side of this. Um, this is an area especially where terms vary from state to state. In California, when we're dealing with kids under 18, a guardian is the term that we're talking about. Um, so yeah, guardian nominations super critical for all parents of young kids so that you can choose who would take care of them if you can't. Otherwise, a judge will decide for you if you haven't put this in writing before it's needed. And they will decide based on a state prescribed list of priority based on living blood relatives and who is ready and willing. And it's pretty much always better if you get to choose by putting this in writing yourself. Um, and again, these are even more important documents if there's any doubt as to whether the parent's rights will be honored and respected, including such situations where the child's parents aren't married or their relationship isn't recognized, where one parent is not the biological parent or one parent isn't on the birth certificate. These all make it extra critical to have a guardian nomination. And in those cases, especially, we would want to include the other parent as a nominated person, as the first person on the list that we're nominating. When we have two parents and we're not worried that they're both going to be recognized by the government, then usually we just say, well, if we're both not available, here's our choices. But in a case where we're worried about whether the other parent will be seen as the parent by the government, then we want to make extra sure to list them as the first priority as well. Okay, next. So trust. We talked about trusts briefly a moment ago as a way to manage a child's inheritance. Uh, Applies to anyone that we want to leave our assets to. So trusts are how we lay out who should inherit our property. Um, They are usually a better option than a will because trusts are private. That's super important here. So you can also say who inherits your property through a will, but wills go through public court proceedings to carry that out. Trusts do not, so long as they are drafted well, they're clear, they're fully funded, meaning that the assets are in the trust before you pass. So um, much better for privacy to have a trust instead of a will. Lots of other benefits there as well, faster, lower cost, etc. Again, I have more detailed videos on that. Um, but Trusts are how we determine who should manage our assets if we cannot. So if we're incapacitated but we're still living and someone needs to pay our bills, make financial decisions for us, a trustee does that. Same thing if we're uh, uh, out of the country on purpose or being detained or deported. Trust can allow you to appoint someone to handle those things as well, to manage your money anytime that you cannot. Um, and also who you want to inherit your assets. Again, trusts are private legal documents. There are a few people who have a right to a copy in certain instances, but it's far more private than a public court proceeding, which is required with a will. Trusts are also important because they give us more ability to choose the details of a plan for, whoever we're leaving the money to, but especially to young kids. Um, what do we want that to look like? What are the priorities for that funding? Uh, Healthcare, education, living expenses. Maybe not that super fast car while they're only 21. We can specify those types of things with a trust and decide who should manage the assets for the kids until they're old enough, um, and really for anyone where we want a little more control over how they're able to use the assets during their lifetime. Um, if you don't think that age 18 is old enough to make a lot of important financial decisions, which most of my clients think that's a little young, to be dealing with someone's life savings, you can choose a different age using a trust. For that, the trustee manages the assets. Older than that, the child can have access when you determine they should. Um, so so yeah, trusts are especially important for planning the inheritance of young children, but also older children, spouses, partners, pets, friends, other family members, whoever you want to inherit your assets, um, and however you want your assets managed for you if you're still here. Um, you can also plan further down the line. Okay, what if I leave money to my spouse and they go first, then what happens to the assets? Trusts give us that ability as well. Um, and as with all of these documents that we're talking about today, they don't lock you in or permanently commit you to anything. They're ready and waiting in case you need them, and you can change the documents anytime. Um, One caveat there, when I'm saying trust here, I'm talking a very specific type of trust, revocable living trust, where we can change them in the future. Um, there are other types of trust, and that's not what I mean here today. One more document that I want to focus on today, healthcare directives. Like I mentioned, these are documents that allow you to appoint the person that you want to be able to make medical decisions for you if you cannot do it yourself. Appoint who you want to be able to visit you in the hospital, if you have any restrictions on that, and provide guidance on what types of medical decisions you would want in different situations. So, um, also, personal care and quality of life decisions can go with that as well. So, lastly, I want to talk about a few details that are important with any of these documents when drafting for someone who is trans or is benefiting someone who is trans child, trans client, and really anytime there's been a legal name change, of course, a legal gender change. Um, If you already have these documents set up and the change happened after that, name change or gender change, it's an important time to update everything so everything is clear and doesn't raise any questions that we just don't need to have raised right now. So legal name, it's very important that if you're going to be signing documents or benefiting from a document, that the name in the document matches the ID of the person so that they can sign in front of a notary. Um, Important for avoiding confusion and legal battles later, but also just upfront when we create the document, whoever's signing, most of these documents need to be signed in front of a notary. They need to check your ID and it needs to match the document. So um, if there's any issue there, then it should be discussed ahead of time so that we can address that and make sure that everything is clear and able to be signed. We want to avoid ambiguity. Uh, Normally, we want to avoid ambiguity anyway, just to avoid hassles down the road. It can be costly, it can cause headaches, but especially right now, we want to avoid increased scrutiny from financial institutions, real estate institutions, government institutions, and ultimately, if things are too ambiguous or confusing, that's when we end up in court. And nobody wants that, even in normal circumstances, but especially right now. So, um, also around names, if your chosen name is different than your legal name showing up on whether it's your ID or other legal documents, if they're different, uh, let your lawyer know right away when you're starting to draft the document so that we can be sure to avoid causing you harm, and also making sure that your legal documents are enforceable and clear. So if there's anything that we need to know as far as other names that have been used in the past will be used in the future. If there's discrepancies between IDs, if the name change process has started but not finished, let us know so that we can work with that and protect you the best way possible. And privacy, I've mentioned that a few times here, but it's super critical. It's never mattered more. Privacy is important not just for comfort, but for safety. We want to keep proceedings out of public court. We want to do that anyway. It's much more expensive and time consuming and a headache when we end up in court. But even more so right now, we want to stay out of public record with any of these gender and name change issues. Um, we want to protect confidentiality. There's no reason that this needs to be public. Um, you know, this is private information, personal, financial, all of that. So it isn't the public's business anyway. Um, and then within the documents, just being clear with details, um, clear with names, and often we can keep gender out of the documents as well. A lot of documents, a lot of legal language, just for historical habits, are gendered in many places within the documents, and often they don't need to be. Often we can actually be clearer with our language with gender neutral, pardon me, gender neutral language. There often is no legal benefit to having gendered language in a legal document. So if we can keep it neutral, that's often better anyways. Um, yeah, so those are some things that we want to keep an eye on and make sure that we're doing well when drafting these documents. Um, we all have the legal right to decide who should inherit our assets, who should manage our assets and healthcare if we cannot, who is best to take care of our kids, our animal companions. These documents are the best way to exercise these rights for all of us. And it's especially critical right now for those individuals and families whose rights are not being consistently respected in this country, or they are at risk of being taken away. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out in the comments or privately. Um, if there's something that I can help with, I'm happy to. If not, I can refer you. Um, yeah, hope this information is helpful. Stay safe out there and take care.